lifelong friends.
What are you trying to say, I'm short?
Between them, more than 50 years of tabletop Battletech experience.
This ain't the job I signed up for.
They're looking for some of the biggest Wobby Whoppers and Periphery jump ship crew superstitions of lore, rules misfires, and shocking truths as they search for the facts in the fiction of Battletech. What's up, Battletech fans? It's time for yet another edition of Finding the Facts in the Fiction of Battletech. But we've got a little bit of a derivative on the format for you this time. Today, Jeff, we're gonna dial up the Wayback Machine. We're gonna go all the way back to the beginning and check out some of the more storied and the more sordid past of Battletech with some of the items that until this video, you never knew existed. And once this video is over, you'll know that you can't possibly live without. Jeff, I know that despite you having played Battletech for about as long as I have, I think you've got me beat by a year, maybe two, thereabouts.
Okay.
I've given you a little bit of a hint as to what we're dealing with here today, and I think that CRITTER-TEK was the thing that you said, that was the only thing you said that you had ever heard of up until today.
Right.
So, okay, and you know about battle droids, but you've never really seen the inside of it.
Right, yeah, never.
We've never really talked about it, never really had any rhyme or reason to go through it.
No.
That changes today, because some of the first things that we're going to bust out in today's Odyssey called Medium Rarities is the TCI models from the late 1980s. And these come from the Fang of the Sun Dugram.
Written in Japanese, I can't read what it
Well, yeah,
says.
they were sold in Japan. They were sold to Japanese audiences. What do you expect? In our world, we know this as the Thunderbolt, but in the Fang of the Sun Dugram world, it was the Hasty F4X Ironfoot. And if you're anything like me, I love this particular show. It's all kinds of political intrigue, and there is giant stompy robots. Of course, we have the HT-128 Soltic Bigfoot combat armor, and we know it today as the what, Jeff?
Warhammer or Battlemaster?
Battlemaster. All right, so you were in the ballpark. So again, we have the Thunderbolt and we have the Battlemaster. But here's something real interesting, Jeff. I want you to take that and I want you to turn it over for me. Just look at the back. Oh, hey, how about that? There's some battle droids.
Battle droids.
There are battle droids errata sheets on the back of these that give you the stats for these particular miniatures. Now look at this here. Let me see this. If you check it out, we've got the Battlemaster BTL-5R, Vox 340, Scylla 4.6er, heat sinks 18, gyro, that all looks about normal.
Right.
You got your rear facings there for your right and left torsos. PPC, look, S3 SRM2 pack. They didn't have an SRM6 at the time that they did this. And then you have your, your 4 medium lasers that are facing out the front, your 2 machine guns, you got your ammunition, your particle projector cannon there, and then you've got your medium lasers down here at the very bottom that fire out of the left and right torso to the rear. 1984 is the year. And that was the address, I guess, at that time. And if you look at the back of the Thunderbolt here, we have very similar stats. The Thunderbolt THN-8T, Thunderbolt, that was the unit designation, I guess, then. Still a 4.6er, heat sinks 15, armor factor seems about right. Yep. Then you got your LRM-15 rack, 2 ammo, 8 packs, 1 large laser, 2 medium lasers, 1 SRM2 pack, and then you've got your ammo, your 2 machine guns, and your rounds, again, dated 1984.
Hey, why do these things have battle droids information? Battle droids is becoming Battletech, and there's a lawsuit. This wasn't obviously in the lawsuit?
Yeah, the unseen lawsuit, they later claimed that the guys at FASA did not have the license to produce a lot of these images, what we now know as the unseen, and that is a whole other topic for a whole other day. We're already working on it, don't worry. The unseens weren't exactly taken all from the same property. So a lot of the, like I say, these came from Fang of the Sun Dugram. If you watch that show, you'll see these in there along with the Griffin. The Shadowhawk is in that series too. The Shadowhawk is the Dugram. The Griffin, I want to say, is the Soltic H8 round facer. So you can see those mechs there. But if you take and you look at some of the other designs, for example, the Warhammer, the Longbow, the Marauder, the Rifleman, these were all, I think, from Macross. Somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong. Robotech, you know, one of them. And that is the ones that I believe Harmony Gold held the rights to, or at least thought that they did. We only found out much later that this was all a moot point. But in the middle of it all, you got to understand, we've dialed back the Way Machine. That is the angle that I am coming at this from. This is how it was back in the day. So, in fact, I kind of have a little bit of a theory about these model kits, and I'll share that with you now. I feel like the fact that these shipping with Battle Droids errata kind of added to the whole conflagration there of, do we have the license for the IP or don't we? Right. And there seemed to be some big confusion there at first, where FASA and the guys there thought, we've got all the rights, we're good to go. We'll start churning out boxes and boxes of this material with these images on them. And then later on, it turned out that they didn't. And when we had to basically retcon all of the unseen, I'm not sure how this happened, but I have a feeling that the fact that these being shipped out with what would later on become Battletech materials kind of helped that whole thing fly under the radar. Hey, if these are shipping out, these designs with this information, they seem to be working together. Everything seems simpatico, meshed. Oh, yeah. Why would we have a problem? Why would there be an issue? So if these are shipping out with no problem, you can imagine the guys at FASA probably thought, well, there's most likely no problem there either. It wasn't until Harmony Gold came by later and decided to drop the hammer on these guys that we had to retcon all of this stuff and get into all the new scenes and things like that, which, like I say, is a whole other video. And I know that there are people who are very well versed in how the lawsuits went, so I don't want to say one thing and have that end up being wrong. So I'm only coming at it with a basic understanding, but when I come back at it for the second video, I'm going to have a much better understanding of it then, and I'll see whether or not my pet theory is right.
All right. How big are these things when you actually build them?
Oh, well, in fact, I got a way I can show you how they look, because I do happen to have a copy of Battle Droids here, as some folks that have watched the show for a long time know, and they actually came with a couple of these TCI model kits. So this is you have the Shadowhawk there in your hand, and in my hand here I have the Griffin. Let's get a close-up look at these. So this is the Griffin, and again, these are still in their original plastic. I haven't taken them out.
And you probably never will.
And I have no intention of taking them out. But what you would do is they were basically snapped together. If you look at the sprues, you can see the little holes in them.
Right.
These were snapped together models, and you built them to look like whatever the robot on the front was. And see, if you look, you can see right here on the very top where this says Dugram A. So, you've got all kinds of things there. And let me see that point to it being Dugram. Let me see if it says here. Did I have it right? Soltic A. Yep. Just as I suspected. So these were what that is going to look like on the inside, except it's going to be a bunch of sprues for a Battlemaster or a Thunderbolt.
Right.
But that's essentially what they looked like. See, they had the old advertisements in here for these TCI models. 20th Century Imports. That was the name of the...
okay.
That's TCI. What TCI stands for.
Okay.
So they had these ads. We'll get a close-up of it here for you. That came in the box of Battle Droids. So ostensibly advertising these model kits.
Right.
And so I suppose the strategy there was to throw a couple of models into the box and then say, here is an advertisement. If you like these models, we sell more of them. Here's where you can pick up some of these things. Right. And now you have a basic idea of what the quality is like and what you can expect. And you could paint those yourself, even though those colors, if you look at them, are the same colors as the mechs in the show. You have the Dugram here, which is blue and gray, which aside from some red highlighting and stuff, that's pretty much the same color as in the TV show. And then here you have gray and green, which is, again, basically the same color aside from some highlights. I think maybe, there's some decals. That is how you would accent those models that came with Battle Droids, is you would use those. But otherwise, they were the same colors as they were in the show.
All right.
So I would imagine that whatever you see here on this box is probably the same color as the model on the inside. I'm not keen to open it and find out for myself, but, you know, that's just what I would imagine, given my context clues and everything like that. But speaking of battle droids, we just got this in here to the studio from a viewer that was on the Battletech trade and sell forums that managed to be so cool, he traded me this magazine for a CRITTER-TEK 2nd edition Mad Cat. It's one of the best deals I feel like I ever made because it's got some cool lore. Right. This isn't the history of the game that we're talking about. When this says Battle Droids history on it, we are talking about the earliest section of lore that was written for the game outside of the books that came with the actual box set itself. This kind of stuff was put out in magazines just like this one in order to be promotional material. This was to get the word battle droids and the idea out into somebody's mind, get this imagery into people's mind, because if you look, this was published in 1984, and they even have a FASA Doctor Who role-playing game on the inside, an ad for that. And as I have said in times past, what wound up happening, I'm looking for a publishing date here. Right. Publisher, L. Ross Babcock III. How about that? So one of the guys that helped make the game was also promoting it in the magazine. So that makes a lot of sense. Right. That's an important thing. And as I have said in times past, what they did when they first started is they were actually not necessarily looking to make a Battletech tabletop game so much as they were real interested in making a simulator where you sit down in the pods and you've got the command stick in front of you and you've got the monitor there, and that whole thing that they had in the Battletech Virtual World Centers, as I understand it, that was their baby. And things like this, in fact, is that that's a West End Games ad on the back. I thought it might be another FASA. They had this, they had Battle Droids, they had the Doctor Who role-playing game, they had combots. They were doing all kinds of different things. And the goal there was to tap into the then burgeoning pen and paper RPG market, which in the 80s was explosive. Right. As we know, with Dungeons and Dragons and Rifts, things like that, they wanted to tap into this money because they wanted to take that gaming money and use it to build these pods. Right. But if I'm not mistaken, there may be maybe a novel, like The Sword and the Dagger or something that predates this, but I don't think so. I want to say that this is probably some of the earliest Battletech history, lore-wise, that you could have in your hands. Maybe there might be something that predates this, but not much.
So is
we'll put it like that.
Sword and the Dagger the first in that genre?
Yes, The Sword and the Dagger was, I believe, the very first ever Battletech universe novel, which that's an item I don't have. So, I mean, if anybody has one and they want to let it go for anything less than $1 million, let me know. I might be interested to pick it up. But see, this, and I'm going to get a close-up shot here in a second, but this, before the Succession Wars.
Right, okay.
Okay, so what were we having going on here? Let's have a close, deep look at this. So first, you have your very colorful drawing there that we all know from the back of Battletech 2nd edition, I want to say. Is that the same picture as on the back of Battle Droids? No. The picture that was on the back of Battle Droids looks like this. But most folks know this photo from the back of Battletech 2nd edition. So we have a prequel here that starts in 2010 and goes to 2025.
Current day.
Yeah. So they were trying to predict the future, and I'm going to put a link to this. I'll take some pictures and I'll put it up somewhere where you can see some of the stuff. Just listen to this. In November 2011, the death of Marshal Oleg Tikhonov precipitates a bloody civil war within the Soviet Union. In the midst of the protracted struggle for power between elements of the Communist Party, the security services, and the armed forces, several captive national groups rebel against Moscow's authority. They are supplied with weapons by the intelligence services of the Western Alliance. The Red Army collapses, and individual units join each of the contending factions. Doesn't that sound like kind of something that's going on today? I mean, maybe not exactly, but somewhat reminiscent of the bare bones skeletons telling the tale there. Sure. You know, it's kind of weird, don't you think? And this magazine doesn't just go through, a few things. If you go to the page 50, and see, as you flip through, you've got ads for all kinds of other facets. Here's an ad for combots. Combots are highly versatile, heavily armed, and extremely mobile combat robots. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Their intricate electronic circuits have been programmed to achieve a single goal, total destruction of the enemy. Experience the thrill of controlling one of these massive machines. First, design and equip your combots with the best combination of equipment for speed, strength, and endurance. Then lead your combat armies into large-scale futuristic battles. Boy, this sure does sound familiar, doesn't it, Jeff? Wow, look at all this. Only from FASA Corporation. And like I say, littered all throughout this mag are ads for other FASA stuff, because of course, and L. Ross Babcock being the publisher, that makes a lot of sense. And having that little bit of information definitely makes this a lot cooler. So we get to page 50 and we continue. And then we go into 2100, 2300, then we have the Civil War here. Kerensky gathers his army from all across the Star League. Every league garrison and outpost along the periphery is stripped to provide battle droids and ships for the coming offensive against Ameris. So we're talking about Ameris Civil War. Right, here, okay. And look at this old art that you got up there. That old unseen marauder. Glog Rauder. And there's where we were just talking through. And I think that this book probably was changed. All the stuff here, your reunification war. See, you got what that looks like maybe a wasp? I can't tell. There's definitely a Warhammer there. Here's your old school archer. Reunification wars here. Twilight, it looks like maybe of the Star League. Simon Cameron, 5th Lord of the Star League, is killed by explosive decompression while inspecting a mining colony on New Silesia. Explosive decompression! That doesn't sound at all familiar, does it?
as long as you're nowhere near the Titanic.
Yeah, listen, hang out there. And then we got the Succession Wars, 2785 to present. So it appears as though that, in 3025, the borders of the successor states are almost exactly where they were at the beginning of the wars more than 230 years ago. And then you have another FASA ad right there. Star Trek, The Outcasts. From FASA. And it looks like Spock there in the background. Wrath of Khan era. Outfits and phasers. There. Right. Some more Battletech art off to the side. Published in March, April of 85. So the fact that this says battle droids throughout the magazine lets me know that very shortly after the publication of this magazine is when the whole George Lucas thing supposedly happened, where he came down with his mighty lightning bolts of justice from up on Mount Olympus and said, droid is a trademark of Lucasfilm, so you gotta change it. And very shortly after that, we had Battletech 2nd edition. As far as I can tell, this magazine is probably also a FASA product. Right. Okay. I mean, it wasn't exactly, but it was meant to be like, here's just enough, because you know what the magazines of the day were Starlog. Right. Starlog was putting out a lot of magazines with very similar branding in their name. So, I mean, it was very easy for the average sci-fi fan in the very early to mid 80s to be at a newsstand, which, believe it or not, existed in those days, and would be looking at different sci-fi magazines and not necessarily able to tell one from the other because there were so many of them. And like I say, Stardate, Starlog, there were other magazines. Fangoria was another one. Famous Monsters. They had a lot of magazines like this. So you definitely had a large amount of things to choose from, and so that makes a lot of sense why you'd put the guys here. You got your Warhammer there. It looks like a Wasp and a Marauder there on the front in full color, because that's what's going to grab somebody to be like, ooh, hey, kids will see stompy robots instead of Star Trek, which I think was at that time considered more adult fare. Right. And for the young adult. Mid-20s, whereas, you could be a child and see these and be right there in the target demo, which is age 13 and up. But now it's time, main event time, CRITTER-TEK. Now, show of hands, how many of us knew this existed before today? barely, but I mean, now, it says right here, approved by FASA, or at least they promised not to sue. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, no, wait, we can't do that. Space, the final oops, been then done too. Greetings, Starfighter, no, can't do that either. Once upon a time, never mind. All from the back, Right there. So now I've known about this for a while. I didn't know exactly what went into it when I was a kid, but we knew it existed because we saw it in stores, and of course we flipped through it. So we had basically an idea that it was Battletech for furries. We didn't know that was what the name for it then. That was what it was called, but it was just like, oh, animal mechs. And that's pretty much it. So this, believe it or not, is a fully functional, self-contained game system that you can play from start to finish, and it includes not just mechs, it has aerotech, it has infantry, it has tanks, it has all the trappings of classic Battletech. And it has personalities, it has mercenary units, but Jeff, this is all told from the story of as if the Succession Wars were one giant baseball game. And when Kerensky left the Inner Sphere, that was the Great Strike. And now we're playing more Major League, Minor League ball. We're playing baseball. It's basically mechs, but with baseball motifs strewn throughout the entire thing. Let's take a look. See, we've got the infield, the 4th playoff update, and the arrival of the Crayons, the parody that would not die, the pursuit of good fun, All-Star Scout Report. Herein lies the sum total knowledge of life in the universe since Big League went on break, and the 5 franchise houses divided up most of the infield and outfield systems. Only the All-Star, the Blessed Order of Roselle, still holds clear knowledge of what life was like in the Big League. Only the All-Star is fit to communicate, or still communicate, using the Big League radio network. Only All-Star is fit to issue tickets and the valued trading cards, the medium of exchange in this broken universe. Only the All-Star knows that our neutrality is a sham, and that someday we will use all the Big League artifacts and Big League trading cards that those tech warrior putzes find for us to rearm and conquer the entire stadium of the universe and rebuild the Big League in our images. Now is the winter of our discotheque. Ha ha ha. This sounds like something Riley Centrella would want to have in her closet. Let's continue. So, okay, you've got here your basic rules, you know, your movement. It's technology, T-E-K, technology. And this art is just bonkers. Oh my god. What it reminds me of is the old Stan Sakai, like Usagi Yojimbo. Check this out. So here we have CRITTER-TEK, and this is the base game. This is basically Battletech, but, you know, or what was the name of it? Battletoads, yeah, something like that. That's the kind of art this reminds me of. And you've got more of it, you know, over here, and here's your guys, like I say, technology, gyros, machine guns, autocannons, lasers. See, it's got the whole gamut. And, you know, you're going into your movement, disco twisting, and headstands. During the reaction phase, oh man, so okay, this was still when there was a reaction phase in Battletech.
Right.
During the reaction phase, tech warriors may attempt to bring the tech's weapons to bear on targets in the rear arc of the tech. There were several techniques to do this, but the best known are disco twisting and headstands. To do a disco twist, the player who controls the tech must declare that the tech is doing disco twisting, and then shimmy and point like John Travolta in that old movie. After about a minute of this, the tech may rotate its torso back and forth a few times and eventually be declared to be firing at a target in its rear arc. If the player is not willing to embarrass himself in front of the other players, this maneuver fails. Other rear arc firing techniques included breakdancing and Annie Oakley shots, but the secrets of those maneuvers have been lost. Okay, so Annie Oakley shots, so aimed shots, in other words, were Annie Oakley shots. Okay, so, and here's your terrain. You got open, 1 movement point. Bushes, 2 movements. That must be light woods.
Right.
Rough, 2 movement. Well, that's the same as what we have today. If you walk over some rubble or something, rough is +1, so costs you a grand total of 2 movement. Trees, 3 movement. That must be heavy.
Right.
Heavy woods. Water, 2 movement points. Check for tripping. So, okay, it works basically the same way as classic Battletech.
Right.
All right. Flyer tech, which is, this is aerotech. You know, now this section, I'll tell you, isn't very long. It's only got a few pages in it, but you basically have, you know, drop ships, and then we get Battletech, which I want to say this is your infantry. God, check out that dragonfly. Yeah, not the dragonfly you were expecting, right? And Battletech, like I say, I think these are your infantrymen here. So let's have a look. Yep, infantry, I was right. So infantry attacks, all that kind of stuff, movement. Tech Warrior. So this is if you wanted to play, you know, the pen and paper RPG aspect of the entire thing. Jeez, man, look at these poor guys. Like Stuart Little. Running away. So yeah, if you wanted to play, you know, the pen and paper, you would play Tech Warrior here. And you have all the stats in there for that. Here's your average guy here. See, like I told you, it's all baseball themed. Like that must be a pilot, I guess. Like of one of the guys, one of the techs. And the view from the mound. So what you got here is you got essentially a universe primer for the rest of the thing, for the rest of the game. And I think that's where they spend the vast majority of their time in this book. See, you have your characters now. Check you have got to see this to believe it. I'm just going to show it to you. There is House Deviant, the amphibian sons. Here's some characters within there. Michael Hands-Off Deviant. So Michael Hasek Deviant, Heisa Deviant, Prince of the Amphibian Sons, owner and general manager. Then you've got House Purina, the Draconian Combine. So House Kurita, and it's got the little the ears there. And then who do we have here? Toka Jointo Purina. So Takashi Kurita, basically. All your personalities. El Blamo Cigars. Who drew that? Okay, I thought I recognized that. So we got House Lao.
Low.
Oh, Low. The Conniption Confederation. The Conniption Confederation. And who do we have here? House Mongrel, the Flea Worlds League. Yeah, Mongrel. House Mongrel. God, that looks like Gadget from Rescue Rangers. Climax Lao. Oh no, I thought this was a family-friendly book. Oh, because see, it says everything nasty about Daddy. Double it in this game. Yeah, that wasn't written on accident. I refuse to believe that. Let's see here. Jaundice Mongrel, Captain General Manager of the Flea Worlds League. Tonsillitis Mongrel, just an all-star broadcaster. Honest. All right, here we are. House Katzen, the Feline Commonwealth. I guess this is Bishop Steiner's home. Here. Meow Lissa Katzen, really cushy daughter of the Narcon. Katrina Katzen, Narcon of the Commonwealth, franchise owner. Oh wow, this cat is still beautiful at her age. Oh my god. Next. All-Star, the Blessed Order of Roselle, the Big League Radio Network. So, yep, we have a little bit of explanation there. Whatever these guys are up to, this must be out in the periphery somewhere. All-Star Exploratory Missions. Yeah, Bleacher Bums and Foul Territory. I was right, that's the periphery. Here we go, Natasha Aminsky in our free agent section, or other words, mercenaries. You got your Wolf's Baboons there. Jaime Wolf, manager of Wolf's Baboons. Again, Natasha Aminsky, captain of the Black Hippo Company. And you got their mechs and stuff, whatever they like. Here we are, the Swell Hounds. Morgan Swell, Daniel Swell. Special Rules, the amazing Ghost Tech. Oh boy, there's your Phantom Mech ability. But see, what you didn't know about the Wolf's Baboons is they have a special ability, and it's on the next page before we get to the Swell Hounds, which is the scriptwriter is on their side. But you have to understand, is where it comes to the Swell Hounds, the other scriptwriter is on their side. So, you know, and then we have 4th Minor League Playoff Update, which we're looking at, you know, this is them going into the 4th Succession War here. And, you know, you've got your tech building. So if you wanted to build your own, dump scrap paper here. New tech and the response of the infield. That's all the clan stuff. Here's your classic games play-by-play. In other words, scenarios. Now, let's get to the real fun part, because the scenarios are cool in the gang, but they actually have their own technical readout. You gotta look. 5150. Big League Technology Tech readout. You gotta see this to believe it. Over here, we have your little
light
guides.
Techs, medium techs, heavy techs, assault techs.
Yep, that looks like the old 3050 books. I mean, if you remember those old TROs. So we have the Run 1T Cottontail. There he is in all his glory. The Locust, oh my god. Yep. Laser, little laser. So he actually, this is like the LCT 1E Locust. The one that has the 2 medium lasers and 2 smalls.
Right.
So it's not your standard Locust there. Oh, look at you. SNY3R Snyder.
All right.
This one's named after you.
Hey, how about that?
And it's got that Freddy Fazbear, Five Nights at Freddy's look. He's got that big old billy club there. Just pounding away. Laser, coil springs. I have no idea what the hell that is.
Jump.
Oh, jump.
Jump jets.
That's
what
but he's an 812. So that's a spider.
Oh.
Yeah, the SNY3R Snyder is the spider clone.
Oh, right. but
So-
see, coil is 8.
Yeah,
so
8.
Coil is jump.
So yeah, how about that? It's named after you. Then, we had the MKYMO Urban Mouse. We had to get into there. The Urban Mouse, baby. Let's keep going. The JCK9R Jack. Oh, okay, so hold on. That looks like a Panther to me.
Right.
The JCK9R Jack. Then who do we got here? We got the WRM2S Wormies 2. Oh my god, the Hermes 2, and it looks like a dog. Jeez Louise.
Cecil Fielderman.
Cecil Fielderman, oh my god, and he's got the Louisville Slugger. Louis the 8th Slugger. How funny is that? Who do we have here? The ENF4GR Enfrogger.
Enforcer.
Ribbit. He's got a big old baseball there. Who do we got here?
A lunchback.
Ah, the lunchback. Go have the lunchback. Yeah, he's got that heavy
Big.
AC there.
Right.
He's big. He's nasty. Who do we got here?
A trench bucket.
Ah, the trench bucket. They just finally said the quiet part out loud. He's even got the backwards cap. He's cool in the gang. He's got those shoes on that look like feet.
I call the trebuchet trench buckets anyway.
That's the joke. Who do we have here? The Doberman. That looks like a Wolverine because of the chest, the way that's done up, and the SRM.
Okay.
Yeah, Wolverine, Doberman, that makes sense. He's got that big piece. Here's your Griffin clone.
Junior Griffey.
Junior Griffey. He's got that Garfield style head there.
Right.
Double barrel shotgun in the claws and everything like that. All right, now who do we got? The DAV-1S Dodger Man. So rifleman.
Right.
Looks like Kermit the Frog here, ready to kill some people. Then we've got Thunder Bunny. The Thunder Bunny. That's right. And we're getting there. Let's see here. The Hobbs. Hey, we're both in this book. This guy's based off of looks like an ape. Wonder Boy. That's right. Then we got the Wham Hammer. The Hippo One Hammer. This is Natasha Eminsky's mech. Your Warhammer clone there. Ah, the Ma Frogger. The Marauder clone had to look silly. The Ma Frogger. And then we've got ourselves the Pachyderm, which looks like you're awesome. There, it's got 3 PPCs and a little laser.
Right.
So 3.5 mover. Ah, this is very easily the Kodiak. The Shortstop Special. Mendoza Shortstop Special. Bunch of little lasers. This is a Charger. But it looks like a Kodiak.
Right.
All right. And then we've got here the Bunny Master, so a Battle Master.
Right.
You're missing one there.
One more.
Ah, the Schwarzenegger. That's right. I will show you a compound fraction. Yeah. Then what do we got on the other side here? Oh, let's see. It's a mech sheet.
Oh.
Paul, isn't this going a bit too far? Nah, so we'll never notice. Let's get a close-up of that record sheet. That looks amazing. So there's your tech data. You know, got your little rabbit ears there. Isn't this going a bit too far? Nah. This looks like the old Battletech 3rd edition record sheets.
Right.
That would have come in those sets. And then in the very back, Critter Commandos. Now, if there were somebody that could actually, if you like CRITTER-TEK, you'll love Kill Everything. Who could say no to a game like that? Now, if somebody actually had the ability to print some of these mechs, like some of these things, I swear to God, I would so run a battle report just to do CRITTER-TEK just once, just to say I did it. Have you seen this kind of stuff until then? You knew it existed, but did you know the extent to which they'd gone to?
No.
I mean, it's just, and I swear, I hated to say that it's Battletech for furries, but like, would you at least agree that that's kind of like what they were going for here? I swear that had to have been the gimmick. Well, Battletech fans, that concludes this episode of Finding the Facts in the Fiction. If you like what you've seen so far, do us a big favor. Hit that subscribe bell down there and turn on all notifications so you can find out exactly where Battlebound is going to turn up next. And don't forget, folks, Battlebound has a Patreon at patreon.com/Battlebound. Sign up today to enjoy those benefits tomorrow. I'm Tuck Davian with my broadcast partner, Jeff Snyder, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time right here out on the Space Lanes.
Be sure to smash our like button and subscribe to our channel.
Crowdfunding is when lots of people give you small amounts of money to help your passion project come to life.